With the 46th season of SNL nearly coming to an end, we couldn't help but review the latest episode.
Regina King hosted alongside musical guest Nathaniel Rateliff, and Mason is here to break down the performance.
Let's hear it, Mason.
Hey, sneak peekers. I hope that as you've been settling into 2021, you've found time for a few laughs and have been able to catch up on the new episodes released for season 46 of SNL, as they've recently returned from their holiday break. But for those of you who need a little recap and some recommendations before jumping into the rest of the season, we've gone ahead and reviewed the first 3 episodes released since the hiatus. So, starting off with episode 10, John Krasinski led us into the new year as SNL's first host for 2021. To be honest, I was a little nervous about what the rest of the season would look like, as the majority of this episode just rehashed jokes introduced in the cold open. While no one expects SNL to reinvent the wheel, I had hoped that they would at least have venture a little further from the repeated sketches on QAnon conspiracies, GameStop stock, social media bans, and COVID party fouls, or that they had at least had something new to say about these topics. However, I was pleasantly surprised with the second half of this episode, as the last couple of sketches explored lighter topics that were easier to handle, such as Subway rebranding. Additionally, Machine Gun Kelly's performances as this episode's musical guest were energetic enough to push the show along. And before moving on, I do feel obligated to at least mention the John Krasinski-Pete Davidson kiss, but I was honestly a little underwhelmed by their lukewarm approach to that type of stunt. Now, with my main issue from episode 10 being repetitiveness, Dan Levy brought a breath of fresh air as the host for episode 11. While jokes surrounding COVID, satirical takes on racial tension, and jabs at Marjorie Taylor Greene / QAnon continued to be heavily featured throughout this episode, the pacing was far improved in my opinion, as more random and quirky sketches were sprinkled throughout to provide some much needed variety and levity. It also helped that this episode's close proximity to the Super Bowl allowed for some different takes on COVID satire, as the cast poked fun at the effect the pandemic has had on game day traditions. Phoebe Bridgers also radiated as this episode's musical guest, with plenty of skeleton onesies, indie vibes, and guitar smashing to go around. Now, similarly to Dan Levy, I think that Regina King did a great job hosting episode 12, keeping her jokes fresh even when they occasionally trekked over familiar territory. With sketches covering everything from emotionally manipulative Pelotons, Gorilla Glue hair gel, and suggestive feminist slam poetry, the unique perspectives introduced in this episode provided King with several opportunities to shine. This episode's weekend update was also the best of the 3 episodes in my opinion, with a child-eating witch interested in QAnon and a heartbroken relationships expert making special appearances. And to top it all off, Nathaniel Rateliff was featured as this episode's musical guest, and while his folk stylings may not have been quite as exciting as the other performances, his powerful vocals were still noteworthy. So, after a bit of a rocky start, SNL season 46 has started to pick back up. You can check out this week's episode live on NBC or through their streaming service Peacock.